Welcome everyone. How lovely you've arrived. It's Mikey Likes You, the greatest health and fitness podcast on the planet, really decided by me. I'm the self-proclaimed king of health and fitness and wellness and all that stuff. The money that I make off of this podcast, the monetization doesn't back that up, but one of these days, with your help. It's a Q&A episode. Everyone seems to like the Q&A episodes, so here we go. I'm going to start off with a couple of lingering Q's to get to the A's on those because they've been things that I've been consistently asked either by Patreon clients. By the way, if you're interested in help, in assistance, the Patreon is there. If you're watching on YouTube, it should be in the link below. If you're listening on the podcast audio-wise, it should be attached to the link in the podcast information. There are 3 tiers, with the highest tier being the most assistance. So there. Speaking of monetization, these are questions that I either get consistently throughout the day with DMs or, again, from the people that I work with on Patreon. So I want to go with it and start off with those. And then I will get to the questions that I was given in the comment section of my Instagram, which is at Mike Catherwood, or the show Instagram at Mikey Likes You and the number 1. The first one being pre-post-workout nutrition. Okay, everyone wants to talk about that because there was a lot made about it, especially in the 90s and then the early 2000s in this kind of post-workout window. And technically, it's a thing. Obviously, if you are someone who's training a lot, if you're training numerous times a day, if you're training more than 4 times a week, you want to replenish glycogen as quickly as possible when glycogen is depleted. These are your carb stores, your sugars that are in your muscle cells. And when you train hard, when you train properly, those are depleted. So as quickly as possible, you do want to replenish those with simple sugars. It's one of the only times when fast digesting carbohydrates is probably a good thing. Your body is chemically set up to digest those better, partition them to replenish those glycogen stores as opposed to storing them for, body fat or whatever. Because typically those calories, even though if you're in a caloric deficit, it doesn't matter, but those calories tend to lead to overeating. They also tend to spiking your blood sugar, which puts you in a bad way. Then the series continues to, improper eating, I guess. But, right after a workout, you can have your fruit juices, your fast digesting carbs, your dextrose, things like that. Bodybuilders and fitness models who are really, really detailed about it because they have to be. They become experts in that field. It becomes very important. Choosing the right type of carbohydrates and fast digesting proteins is a big deal. I think for the average person, going all the way up to like the really fit people, I'm including myself in this, the post-workout window, not really a thing. If your diet day in and day out is meeting your protein requirements and your calories are at a good set point for your goal, regardless, meaning that if you're in a deficit, if you want to lose weight, and if you're in a slight surplus, if you want to gain weight, the post-workout window is not going to matter. If you're a competitive athlete, if you're someone who is, below 10% in body fat and you're really trying to then increase your level of conditioning further, if you're someone who's incredibly muscular and then trying to compete, in professional bodybuilding or something like that, I do think that you got to get geeky about those very, very, very kind of, they're details that can make the difference, but they're not going to make much of a difference if you're 16% body fat and just trying to get in better shape. They're really not. I'm 9% body fat the last time I measured it, and I used a DEXA scan, which I do think is the most accurate. And like I said, I just monitor my eating. What I do, and what I said what I do try and achieve every day is pre-workout nutrition that I think is, and science backs this up, a little bit more important than post-workout nutrition. So much was made of that post-workout window, but people leave out the idea of pre-workout nutrition, which is, in my opinion, and again, I have the science to back it up, that it can prove to be more important. What you want to do is make sure that, Milo Sarkev always used to say this. He said, don't have empty blood. And that's, I think, a great way of putting it. So I use essential amino acids, which are It's a fancy way of saying really quickly digested proteins. It's all 9 of the essential amino acids that your body and muscle protein synthesis needs to do its job. I use Farm Grade by MPA, and it is, in my opinion, the best on the market because it has the highest amount of leucine. It also has a little bit of coconut water powder in there to give you your electrolytes, which is definitely an overlooked aspect of pre-workout nutrition. So many people screw that up. You know, they drink their water, which you should, but you're missing out on the minerals that you need to properly contract muscle cells, and so this provides that. I also use creatine. German creatine is what I've been using lately. All that matters is that it has the Creapure label. That means that it comes from this one factory in Germany that you can rest assured it is real, legitimate creatine monohydrate. There's so much bunk stuff out there, a lot of it coming from, you know, these kind of budget bulk supplement company and producers. But if you have the Creapure label on there, it doesn't matter what brand you get, that you know you're getting good creatine monohydrate. I take 5 milligrams of that. I take 2 scoops of the farm grade, which ends up being 10 grams, I should say, of essential amino acids. And it gives all my body everything it needs to create muscle protein synthesis. I also take, I dropped it, Element. It's a electrolyte drink mix to give me the extra electrolytes, the potassium, the magnesium, things like that. First off, Rob Wolf, this is a great product. I love it. Don't misspell stuff. I had this conversation with the guys in Lincoln Park 500 times. Don't misspell stuff on purpose. Okay, the LMNT, you could just call your company Element. I'm sure there's no copyright on Element. I think visually, yeah, you got it. It looks cool. But I know, because I solicit people to write me messages, no one can spell in this country. And the last thing we need is large corporations and really popular bands and things misspelling shit on purpose to only muddy the waters further. Electrolytes, essential amino acids, and creatine. Essential amino acids are expensive as shit. So I'm warning you on that. Some whey protein isolate, which is much cheaper, much more affordable, and will probably do pretty much the same thing. 1 scoop of that, 20 grams of protein from whey protein isolate, really quickly digested protein, mixed with, you know, some cold brew coffee and some electrolytes. You know, even if you're not going to spring for the electrolyte mix, go with, and I've done this many a times when I'm traveling and things. I take some cold brew coffee, I mix vanilla protein in there with some sea salt, and I'm ready to rock. It tastes great. I like it. It's like a salty little latte or something, and you got everything you need. Make sure you're hydrated throughout the day. Then, if you provide that for your body prior to training, you're good. And then you can just go eat a normal person meal later in the day and make sure that you're adhering to your caloric set point and your macros. You don't have to worry about getting fucking dextrose, maltodextrin mix with your post-workout fucking shake. Stan Efferding said it. He said it best, and I agree. Shakes are for fakes. Eat steaks. Very meatheady. The next thing I wanted to talk about was creatine itself, and I already talked about it a little bit, but so many people email me about and DM me about creatine that I thought I should just take time to reiterate exactly what I like to provide you as far as creatine goes. There's so many products out there, and some of them look fancy and make big promises. I don't know if they work any better or not. One thing I do know, creatine monohydrate, the same old shit that you got in the 90s from Muscle Tech Creatine 6000, is proven to work, works great, and is cheap as fuck. So get creatine. It does so much more than just provide assistance in building muscle. Creatine, it really is a great, backable, meaningful supplement. It provides cognitive benefit. It prevents and protects. I'm struggling today. It protects and provides protection against aging deterioration in the brain. There are studies that are showing this. It can help with dieting also, because there is muscle mass retention that is provided by the assistance with the ATP and all that stuff, so you can train harder, you can get a little bit more, even if you're in a caloric deficit. So don't think that creatine is something that is just for these big meatheads that want to bulk up. It's a great drug. A lot of people are worried about water retention when it comes to creatine. A friend of mine, Mike Safi, one of the greatest natural bodybuilders this planet has ever seen. No one's more shredded. He takes creatine right up to the contest because, yes, there is water retention, but it's inside the muscle cells. It's not subcutaneous. It's not going to blur you. It's not going to bloat you. It keeps water molecules within the muscle cell. This is incredibly important for those of you who like to go low carb. If you're a ketogenic athlete, if you're someone who likes to eat a diet low in carbohydrates because it helps you adhere to a diet better, you need moisture. You need moisture more than other people inside your muscle cells. Why? Because the last part of carbohydrates is hydrate. What does that mean? Those gardeners are not in my yard. We'll deal with it. What does that mean? Carbohydrates, they are the water molecules for your muscle. Okay, and when you're low carb, it does deteriorate from your ability to pull muscle water into the muscle cells, and that is a bad thing when you're training. So if you have good enough hydration, you take your creatine, CreaPure, German creatine. There's many brands that make it. It's affordable and it's worth it. CreaPure, look for that sign there, trademark CreaPure on the product, and that's all you need. Doesn't matter what brand. You take that, you take your electrolytes, and if you're not going to spring for electrolytes, take some sea salt with your pre-workout mix there, and you will have all you need, even if you're in a lowered carbohydrate state. So there is a lot of benefits, myriad benefits to creatine, above and beyond just its ability to put on muscle or help you assist you in putting on muscle. All right, let's get to it. 11MJ29JV. Hey, Mike, how do you feel about P90X and CrossFit? And also, when is Rudy making an appearance on your show? I already answered this guy in text because Rudy took over my show to begin last episode. So just go to the last episode. You'll see Rudy. Plenty. He had a lot to say. He probably stayed a lot longer than I would have liked him to. As far as P90X and CrossFit, excuse me. As far as P90X and CrossFit goes, I don't like it, but if it's the only way you're going to work out, it's better than nothing. The best exercise you can do is the one that you will do and the one that you will do consistently. So if you love the group environment of doing CrossFit, fine. I do not like these types of workouts for a couple reasons. One, you're tremendously injury prone. A lot of the programming in CrossFit, I don't know much about P90X, but a lot of the programming in CrossFit is based around doing things like Olympic lifts and deadlifts for incredibly high reps in a circuit. These are not exercises designed to be done for massive amounts of reps, especially in a fatigue state. If you're coming off doing like a rowing interval or some burpees, and then to go into the power clean is an incredibly dangerous and ill-advised thing to do. CrossFit was designed to give you a really good workout in the metric of measuring that by how much you sweat and how much you feel like you got your ass kicked. A lot of people only value that when it comes to a workout, but that is so far at the end of what you should be looking at when it comes to training. Training is something that is focused, something that should elicit a very specific response. If your response that you're looking for is strength, doing 20 repetitions of a deadlift and then some pull-ups at a suboptimal weight is not only not effective, it could get in the way. It could be counterintuitive to programming for strength. If your main goal is body fat loss, just burning a bunch of calories ad nauseum is not going to get you there. It's certainly not going to get you there in the long run, because eventually, if you don't eat like a fucking pig, you're going to end up burnt out to the point that you can't train at all effectively. When it comes to fat loss, really sustainable success comes from working with your diet and your training in synergy. And you have to understand the calories that you put in, they only allow you a certain amount of energy out. And if your energy out is so extreme through the roof, you have to make up for that with caloric intake. And that doesn't lead to good fat loss. That's the same reason why competitive endurance sports are not a great route to go when it comes to real fat loss, the fat loss that people are looking for. So again, these workouts that combine conditioning and strength training, it really just affords you the ability to be mediocre at both, and it's not going to elicit any of the effects that you want, because effects from exercise and training are very specific, and you have to kind of focus in on what it is you want and go for that. I've talked about it a million times that you can't sit on two horses with one ass. And what I mean by that is the human body is very specific in how it reacts to stimulus. You have to then provide very specific stimulus to elicit those very specific responses. I will again talk about how Lance Armstrong, the greatest endurance athlete on the planet ever, maybe, the amount of wattage he was able to create for such a sustained period of time on a bicycle is inhuman. He retires, he starts running, he fucking stunk. It was terrible. And you're like, well, how can that be? Because the body responds in a very specific way to very specific types of stimulus. So if you're looking to be beach body ready, you have to really harness in on what you need to do to your body to elicit that response. If you're looking to be a competitive power lifter, you have to harness in on what that is. If you want to be an MMA fighter or a jiu-jitsu athlete that is competitive, you have to focus in on what that is and what type of stimulus you need to get the response you're looking for. CrossFit, by its nature, right there in the tagline, they are not specialists in anything. So just showing up and not knowing what the WOD is going to be and doing a 5K one day and then doing a circuit the other day, it's going to help you build a work capacity for sure, but it's not in the long run going to help you in any way elicit the response that you're looking for, because they, by their nature, put it right there. They're not going to focus in on anything. So that's how I feel about that. John 3H3, are you natty? Yes, I am. I'm 42 years old and I'm natty, but I am exploring the TRT route. I'm currently healthy enough to continue being me without it, but it's going to come. And even then, I don't necessarily know if that's not natty. There's a big difference between TRT and steroid use. And I think that it's just one of the many reasons why people misunderstand performance enhancing drugs, okay? Having a doctor prescribe someone who's legitimately low in certain hormones, having a doctor then prescribe those hormones to get you into a healthy range is a far cry from someone just taking additional exogenous hormones to fucking get some type of weird extreme response, like a pro bodybuilder. A 25-year-old guy who's in the NFL taking steroids or anabolic steroids and androgenic kind of compounds in order to improve his performance is a big difference than a 45-year-old guy who is just low in T and wants to feel better. It's a big difference. Also, someone has a traumatic brain injury. A lot of you veterans out there, God bless you. I mean, I can't express the amount of gratitude, but a lot of veterans have had intense brain injuries, both psychological and physical, from IEDs or, concussive explosions, things like that. That will fuck your hormones and your endocrine system up. For the sake of your health, overall, spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical, a doctor may prescribe a small dose of TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, or just hormone replacement therapy if it's going to be an anabolic or a growth hormone, something like that, to help get you back to normal. Getting you back to healthy is what hormone replacement therapy is about. Okay? That is a far cry from just willy-nilly taking something to get some type of extreme response. But as of now, I am natty. I fuck around with peptides, but I don't use anything anabolic or androgenic. So I hope that answered your question. Let's go to Eric Paul, 1986. Help a brother out. I can't seem to get rid of my chicken legs. What type of program would you recommend to grow the legs? Someone who has like really broad shoulders and, you know, came out of the womb like a husky fella. We all know those people. Like the guys came out of the womb powerful. They're not going to have skinny arms. It just doesn't happen. You're not genetically going to have like skinny arms. There are very like powerfully built people that just came out of the womb like with teeny little chicken legs. And legs, more so, I mean, it definitely happens where you will see people who you're like, that guy's a power lifter and he benches fucking huge, 5 plates, and you're like, well, he's not even very husky. So it happens. There's a lot of connective tissue components and genetics that can apply to strength. But legs more so than anything. There's people with fucking chicken legs, like pencils, that are strong as fuck. John Jones is the best example. He may have the skinniest legs in MMA, but he is so explosive, has tremendous fast twitch in his legs. He runs so fast. I've seen him on the like self-moving treadmill going like 19 miles an hour, or something fucking preposterous. But he also has incredible strength. He, for a while, was focusing on powerlifting, especially at the beginning of the time when he was trying to make that jump into heavyweight. And he squats 5 plates, like, and with good depth and everything. And you're like, man. So legs are weird. You gotta train them, and you gotta train them frequently, and you gotta train them hard. They have a very weird mixture of fast twitch and slow twitch muscle cells, and muscle fibers, I should say, in glaring comparison to your upper body. It is also where you carry most of your musculature. It is also the number one thing guys love to fucking not train. Couple reasons there. Women will train legs all day. Women will focus on legs and booty, okay? Because women are women. And that's kind of a trophy muscle for, that lower body is what most women like to focus on. I get it. Guys, they look in the mirror with their shirt off, and they fucking think like, well, my legs doesn't matter. I could have polio. They could just be dangling there like little, but you just want biceps and chest. Wrong. Here's the biggest tip I can give you. And when it comes to training, I mean this. Always focus over 50% more. Okay? So try to put double the effort into the muscles that you can't see in the mirror. That means your upper back, your lower back, your glutes, your hamstrings, and your calves. Outside of your quads, the front part of your thigh, I just named almost all statistically of the muscle that you have in your body. That is over 80% of the muscle. 60-something% of your muscle is carried from your belly button down. It is crucial. It is imperative, even if you have nice legs, that you focus on lower body training. And then after that, it has to be your posterior, your back. Back and legs make a physique. Do not avoid leg training. Do not think that you can just go in and do your bench and curls like you're in jail and that you're going to have some magical physique. It truly, as a natural, because when I was using a bunch of fucking DECA and test and doing crazy shit as a bodybuilder, I trained hard and I was going to grow, okay? I was fucking lean, the whole thing. But as a natural 42-year-old guy, it wasn't until about 5-6 years ago that I got sustained progress and happiness with my physique. What happened is I just broke down and really threw caution to the wind. And I will train chest, I will train biceps and shoulders and things like that. But the overwhelming focus of my training is my posterior chain and my legs. You get a much better metabolic benefit from that too. I can stay lean year round without really worrying too much about cardio and aerobic kind of capacity because I do high rep squatting, I deadlift heavy, I do Romanian deadlifts and lunges, and I'm just these massive amounts of muscle, these really big muscles, a lot of them that you walk on all day. So they're conditioned to a much greater extent than your upper body muscles. I just hammer them. I, for a while, was doing legs 3 days a week. Now it's leg day every motherfucking day. Does that mean I go ham on legs every day? No. Twice a week, I have a leg day where I crush. But every day I'm doing some form of lower body work, whether it be some knees over toes type stuff, the knees over toes split squat, a lot of sissy squats, Romanian deadlifts, be it with a kettlebell or with a barbell, one-legged Romanian deadlifts with a dumbbell or a kettlebell, lunges every day. I do walking lunges every day, sometimes without weight, just to kind of keep my legs conditioned. I do body weight squats. I train my legs in some form to an appreciable level every single day. I'm leaner, I'm healthier than I ever was before, even natural. Legs also, here's a problem I have with talking to people about leg training. Because I had chicken legs, man. I had like really disproportionate, I wouldn't say chicken legs, but they were disproportionately small in comparison to my upper body. Legs have to be trained higher rep than your upper body. But they still have to be trained heavy. Whenever I talk about you have to build strength and you got to use heavy weights, I always run into the problem of people misinterpreting that to use too heavy a weight, and then they forego form and they hurt themselves. I was like, deadlifts shouldn't be done for more than 5 reps. You got to work heavy and you got to get good at heavy squatting, heavy deadlifting and everything. So then they put on way too much weight and they hurt themselves. Then I say, well, also, if you want to grow your legs, you got to train in higher reps. Then they go way too light and they train, high reps. And they're like, yeah, I hope I did my 20 rep squat routine last 6 weeks. And I went from using 85 pounds to 110 pounds. He's not going to cut it. Another main reason why guys particularly avoid legs is because it's way fucking hard. Training legs properly sucks. If you don't rue the leg day, you're not training well. Going in and doing some bench press, overhead press, some bicep curls and shit, that's kind of fun. I mean, doing high rep squats, high rep hack squats, leg press, things like that, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible, but it elicits the greatest benefit. So my advice to you, train legs more frequently, 3 days a week minimum. If that means you're doing a full body split where you train legs all 3 of those days, so be it. If that means you do legs 3 days a week, upper body 2 days a week, so be it. Both good options. Train legs more frequently, and train them in higher reps, but don't forego training heavy. If you are not competent in squatting, don't include the squat in your workout. Do I think it is the most beneficial exercise? Yes. I don't think it's the most beneficial exercise when you're trying to do high rep squats when you can't squat at all. And there's no shame in that. Having the self-awareness and the self-control to say, you know what, I haven't mastered this very complex exercise. Maybe I shouldn't go ham on it yet. No problem. Focus. High reps for as much as you can tolerate in weight and resistance on the leg press, on walking lunges, on hack squats. Hack squats are amazing, man. If your gym has a hack squat machine, they're fantastic. Leg extensions, leg curls, Romanian deadlifts. Throw in hip thrusts and included with those walking lunges to get the glutes involved. You have all it takes. You just got to do the work. That's it. You got to do the work. When it comes to legs, it really growing, and you can do it. Stan Everding, world's strongest professional bodybuilder, has insane legs. They were his weakest body part at 140 pounds when he was in college. He was a twerp with teeny little legs. All he had to do was do the work. High repetitions with high weight, and you get there. Periodize your training. You can't do this all year. Focus on strength for 3 months. Lower reps, higher weight. Be meticulous about your form. When you build strength, then you can transition into pure hypertrophy, 15 to 20 reps. Sometimes even higher for legs. You can go up to 30 reps and still, even though it is going to tap into endurance, it's going to have benefit when it comes to hypertrophy with legs. High reps, as much weight as you could tolerate, really push past the burn. If you're not good at squatting, avoid it. Go wait till you get to back to that strength block and just be conservative with your weight and really focus on form and just hammer it, hammer it, hammer it, hammer it. That is the only way to really see meaningful difference in your leg training. Anything specific you do to stay healthy and fight against COVID? From Joey54. I guess, but you know what? I don't do anything specific to protect myself against COVID. But my lifestyle day in and day out, both pre and now during COVID and the lockdowns and the pandemic, I think have helped me tremendously. Not being overweight, having low body fat levels, eating nutritious foods at a small caloric deficit, and exercising in a very disciplined way. I didn't do that for COVID, but it sure as hell worked out. I'm not a scientist. I have no scientific background. So I can't say that with immense positivity. But if we look at the people who suffer greatly from they suffer the most when they contract COVID, and the people who have seemed to bounce back the quickest, the one kind of common through line is usually body fat levels and health, overall health. So the ideas of comorbidity, they come into play. My blood sugar is very healthy. I get my blood tested a lot so I can see these things. My blood pressure, my blood sugar, these things are all regulated. My body fat is low, and my heart rate, my resting heart rate is low. You know, I carry above average levels of muscle mass that has shown to help, you know, in longevity and comorbidity. These are all the things I have done, not knowing that COVID was coming, and I definitely think it has helped a lot. I've been on TRT. This is from Ranger Ramon. I've been on TRT for a little over a year now. Made huge difference. 6 pounds lean muscle gain. No. Not as sore after workouts, but the only bad side effect is I am a little more on edge, like I want to fight. Any recommendations, thoughts? And yes, I'm going to talk to my doc about this soon. Okay, first off, as soon as you put testosterone, exogenous testosterone in your body, you're going to gain weight. It is most likely not 6 pounds of lean muscle. That's a considerable amount. A lot of these like get ripped quick programs where it's like put on 15 pounds of muscle in 1 month. They trick you into believing that that is real. 6 pounds of lean muscle, meaning no body fat gain, is immense. And I question, how did you measure that? If it's 6 pounds of lean muscle, I'm assuming, by the way, I'm assuming you didn't do this, but let me point to know that you put on 6 pounds of lean muscle, you tracked your body fat, you got a detailed analysis of your body fat and water weight and all that prior to taking the TRT. Then after a year of it, you had it done again and you were 6 pounds heavier with no increase in body fat and water weight. Because if that's the case, then yes, you did. But that probably not what you probably put on. A half a pound of muscle and 5.5 pounds of water. Because, and also maybe some body fat, because testosterone makes you hungry. It also makes you on edge because it's an androgenic, and that's why guys, by and large, are a little bit more aggressive than women. It's a thing. Steroids is just like weed in this regard. Everybody knows the people who are like, I don't smoke weed because it makes you lazy and it deflates you of your ambition and stuff. It's like, weed doesn't do that. Most shithead potheads that do nothing with their life, they were like that way before they started smoking weed. And really ambitious type A people can smoke all the weed they want and they still go get it. There's countless fucking people like Joe Rogan and Eddie Bravo and these Harvard graduates that smoke weed all the live long day, and they do more in one day than most people do in their lifetime. I think that steroids, just like weed, are just an enhancement of what you have going on prior to them coming into your body. Roid rage never happened to me. Was I a little bit more edgy? Was I a little bit more quick to be like, oh, fuck, dude, why didn't you bring me that? You know, when I was in radio, it's like, God, I thought that tape was going to be edited for this morning. Oh, fuck, dude. All right, yeah. Which is not me normally. In life, I'm like pretty laid back, probably too laid back. But I'm like punching people and shit and throwing. There's a Ben Affleck after school special about steroids. And he chucks his mom down a staircase after like 2 months of testosterone use. No. If you're a grown ass man, Ranger Ramon, which I'm assuming with Ranger in your name, you're an Army Ranger, which God bless you. Thank you so much for your service. And Army Rangers are fucking badasses, so good for you. I'm assuming. Maybe you're a park ranger. I don't know. But if you're a grown man looking to fight, there's an issue with you that is not the steroids. You need to talk to a psychiatrist or psychologist, whatever you prefer, and you need to talk to your physician, as you pointed out that you will do, because there's no fucking amount of steroids that's going to make a reasonable grown adult male go out searching to fight. Physically, another thing you can do, learn how to fight. Train. I'm not George St. Pierre, but I've trained enough in jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing, and stuff. I've been in gyms enough. I've trained enough to know that I don't want to fight. I don't want to seek that out. It's amazing to have the self-confidence now that if some shit was to pop off that was unavoidable, maybe I could get myself out of it. If some guy, living in Venice, I definitely am walking with my daughter every once in a while and like some very mentally ill person is approaching and making threats and stuff. It feels a lot better to know like, okay, I'm going to get my distance. I'm going to measure this and I'm going to leg kick him. If he comes in, I'm going to get his back. I'm going to choke this guy. But I don't look for fights. That's a psychiatric issue. There's an insecurity there. Okay? And admittedly, I'm a big pussy. I'm not like, I'm not like a tough guy. I'm not like a great fighter or anything. But what I am saying is that most really tough fuckers I know, they're not searching out people to fuck up. And at the point in their life that they were, they recognized their wrongs and they changed that. Because hurting another person or potentially putting yourself in the position to be hurt is not something you want to seek out. And if it is, there's a psychiatric issue far above and beyond hormones. Best way to lose belly fat. The best way to lose belly fat is the best way to lose any body fat. Caloric deficit, high protein, weight train, do that for a long time. Here's the reality of it. And I've talked about this also with a lot of people, so I'm glad you asked this question. There is an assumption that you are doing something wrong or that you are flawed because you will lose that 10 pounds, okay? And your face looks much thinner. You're starting to see some guns and a little separation in your upper chest, but you still have a pooch and a spare tire. Women, a lot of times it's like the fupa and the upper legs and booty. That's biology. Males carry spare tire much longer than they carry body fat in other parts of your body. It's biology. There are organs there that evolution wanted you to keep warm. And it takes much longer and a lot more effort to lose that body fat, to expose that six pack and to get rid of the spare tire than it does to lose body fat in your calves, your arms, and your face. There are body parts that the body fat's going to go first. It doesn't work as this combined effort where everything comprehensively just comes off. Biologically, women with reproductive organs are going to have a harder time from like belly button down to, above a couple inches above their knee. Guys from their nipples to their dick. That's where evolution and God and all that wants you to hold on to body fat for survival. So the best way to lose body fat is to do whatever you're doing to lose body fat for a longer period of time. And I'm sure you wanted some specific tip or trick. That's the reality of it. And that's why the six pack I think is so coveted, because you can really start to see some like separation in your shoulders, and like guys will flex their arms and women, oh man, wow, you've really been working out. Yeah. But then you take your shirt off and you're like, yeah, but look, yeah. That's because it takes concentrated, focused effort for a long time. The more overweight you are, the more time it's going to take. That's just it. I mean, look at The Rock. The Rock is jacked as fuck. He doesn't have abs, really. He does, and that's because he's not maintaining a low enough body fat percentage to expose that area. He has a little bit of like the side kind of foops. I'm at 9%. Like I said, maybe I've gone up a little, but for math's sake, for safety's sake, I'm at 10% body fat, which is way low compared to Earth. And I have a sizable amount of muscle mass. I still have a little like side gut, You got to be like Zac Efron in Baywatch, or Jeff Cavaliere from Athlete X. That you got to get that low to get rid of that level of fat. So if you want to have exposed nice abs, 12 to 10%, you want to get really shredded, that's the last thing to go. I have fucking veins popping out of my arms and stuff, and like striations in my chest when I flex and stuff, and I still have some fat there. There's visceral fat and subcutaneous fat and all this stuff, and it's just that area. If you can feel like thick skin in your body, in those areas, it's going to be harder to lose fat than it is in like where areas are really thin skin, like your calves or your face and parts of your neck. So just keep at it, man. Keep at it. You guys and gals, everyone wants to get rid of that spare tire. Everyone wants to get rid of the pooch. I get it. There is no secret. You got to do the work, and it's not going to come quickly. And that's why I think a lot of people fail in their quest to get that dream body, because they assume they're doing something wrong, or there's something genetically flawed with them if they don't get that extreme level of leanness within a comfortable amount of time. And that's just not reality, especially if you're considerably overweight. You will make progress. You should love and embrace that progress, but don't second guess yourself or your dieting or your training if you're not getting to extreme levels of progress, because that area, like I said, belly button to upper thigh for women, and then nipples to kind of dick for guys, that's the last thing to go, and that's nature, and there's nothing wrong with you. You just got to stick with it. Consistency over the long run. All right. I thought that was a pretty darn good sesh of question and answer. I love all of you. Thank you so much to everyone who has supported me in any way. Thank you over the moon to all my patrons. Again, my Patreon link should be below if you're looking for extra assistance. Also, my YouTube page. If you're listening to this on the audio only podcast, go to my YouTube page, Mike Catherwood on YouTube. Subscribe, like, tell your friends, everyone. Let's build it up, please. I would love that to be another revenue stream. Also, I'm doing a lot of exercise tutorials and breakdowns and giving you nuggets of information there that I don't provide in the podcast. So check out my YouTube. Again, Mike Catherwood on YouTube. There's stuff there that I think you'll like. I'm going to start a nutrition thing where I start talking about cooking and meal prepping tips. So go over there and do the likes and do the subscribes and do the little notification thingy, the bell thingy. All right. Assalamu alaikum.